to my kitchen. If you are new here, my name is Kaylee, and today in my kitchen, we are finally making birria tacos. If you haven't had these before, I cannot wait to share the recipe with you. These tacos are delicious, they're crunchy, they're cheesy, because today we're making quesatacos. They are full of flavor. I just can't wait to show you. They've been taking the internet by storm. They've been pretty popular for the last year and a half or so I'm sure you've seen them somewhere, but maybe you haven't been able to find them in your neighborhood. So I wanted to do my best to recreate some tacos, that way you can hopefully make something similar at home. Some of the ingredients are a little bit difficult to find, so we'll talk about maybe some substitutions that you can make that will make them still just as flavorful. Before we get into cooking up the meat for today's tacos, there's a little bit of prep that we're going to do, so we're going to quickly get into that and then get right to it. It's a low and slow method that's going to make the meat juicy, tender. It's just going to fall apart and be delicious. The first thing that we're going to do to get our recipe started is actually to remove the stems and seeds from some dried chilies. Now the two that I'm going to be using today are guajillo, so I've got 5 of those, and pasila. I hope I'm saying those right. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below. I swear we don't have Spanish in Canadian school, so I don't know a lick of it. If you aren't able to get your hands on these types of chilies, in the past, we have used these chipotle peppers in adobo. There's a bit more heat because these are full peppers and they have the seeds inside. But this one is pretty easy to find in the grocery store. Another great addition to the chilies would be a dried ancho chili, but again, that one I was not able to get my hands on. But you can get ancho chili powder also at the grocery store. It's with the fancy spices. After we remove these stems and the seeds from these dried chilies, we're just gonna quickly set those to the side and get to prepping our garlic and onion. So I've got 1 small white onion here. We're going to dice that up. And I've got a bulb of garlic here as well. We're gonna use about 6 cloves of garlic and finely chop those up. For today's tacos, we are going to be using some beef shanks. I've got about 3 pounds of beef shank here. You definitely want to use shank or even bone-in rib, something that has bone-in, because it's going to add so much extra flavor. I've also got my brazier here because, as I mentioned, this is sort of a low and slow recipe. So step 1 of actual assembly is to generously season the meat with salt and pepper, and then we're going to brown all sides inside the brazier. Obviously, we don't want to put all the pieces in at once or that would overcrowd it, so we'll go 1 piece at a time. And once the meat has been browned, then we'll remove that. Leaving the oil in there, I'm then going to add in my onions, and the onions just need to cook until they're a little bit soft, so maybe 1 to 2 minutes. Once the onions have softened up, then I'm going to add in my garlic. After we've added in the garlic, it's time to add in beef stock. So today we're going to be using about 5 cups of beef stock and a variety of spices. We're going to have 2.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of clove, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, a sprig of thyme, 3 bay leaves, and 1 tablespoon of oregano. Once you've added that in, we're going to give everything an excellent stir so that it's nice and evenly distributed within the pot, and then putting our meat back into our brazier. The final thing to add will be our dried chilies. So we'll put those inside and give it a quick stir so everything is nice and incorporated, and then leaving that at a simmer, covering it and cooking for about an hour. After about an hour of braising, the chilies are going to soften up and rehydrate. So we're going to actually take the dried chilies out of the brazier, add that to a blender with about a cup of the liquid and 2 of the chipotle peppers in adobo. We're going to blend that up till it's nice and smooth, and then add it right back into the brazier, give everything a nice stir, and continue to let that cook for about an hour and a half. Now, birria tacos are not just tacos. They are also served alongside with a beautiful consomme. So the broth and the amazing sauce that we're cooking our beef shank in is actually going to be used at the end as a dip. Now, while the beef is continuing to braise in the back, let's quickly talk about our next set of prep. For the garnish today, we have some white onion, cilantro, and lime. So we're going to be dicing up our white onion, roughly chopping our cilantro, and then just cutting limes into wedges for garnish. The onion and cilantro are gonna top off our birria tacos as well as our consomme, and it is going to be amazing. They just add a whole new level of freshness and really liven up the dish. Today's tacos are not just tacos, but we're making them quesatacos, which means it's kind of like a quesadilla and taco, and that is because we're gonna be adding cheese. Now, admittedly, finding Mexican cheese can be quite difficult, especially in Canada and depending on where you live. So a great alternative is to use mozzarella cheese. That's what I've got right here today. Any kind of semi-soft cheese, something that's gonna melt really well and have a beautiful cheese pull will do the trick. All right, now that our meat is nice and tender, it's time to take that out of our brazier. We're gonna remove all of the bones and quickly chop that all up. You can chop it as large or as fine as you like. I'm also gonna go ahead and remove the bay leaves and the thyme as well. I'm gonna do my best to skim off some of the oil from the top of our consomme, putting that in a small bowl because I'll actually be able to use that oil to cook my tacos. All right, it is finally time to assemble. We've got our consomme, most of the oily bits. We've got our corn tortillas, cheese, and our beautiful birria for our tacos. Right now, I've got my skillet over here. We're gonna turn that up to about a medium heat. Let that heat up. And in order to make the crispiest taco that you've ever had, we're going to dip our corn tortillas into the oil, then dropping our tortilla into the skillet, letting that crisp up a little bit. We're gonna add on enough cheese to kind of cover our tortilla and let that melt before we add in the beef. Once the beef has been added, we're gonna carefully fold that up and allow it to crisp on both sides. The kitchen is a mess, which means that we are finally at the end of the recipe. We've got our beautiful birria tacos right here and our consomme. We've got it all topped off with some white onion, cilantro, and a little bit of lime juice. Now, as you're cooking the tacos, if you find that the cheese kind of gets beyond the tortilla, that's actually a good thing. It's gonna crisp up and create an extra level of flavor. Finally, let's dig in. Oh, wow. These look cheesy in the ultimate. Well, this is hot. Mmm. Oh, wow. That consomme is so good. It's got the flavor from all of the different types of chilies that we use, along with that beefy flavor from the shank. Oh, wow. I really like that addition of the lime juice, that freshness. Brings a whole new level to the dish. Perfection. And this isn't too spicy at all. If you like spice, you can add even more of those chipotle peppers in adobo. If you're not a huge fan of spice, this is still mild enough for you to enjoy as well. Now it is time for me to go to make more tacos for Ryan and the cats. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this recipe, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and comment down below what you want to see me make next in my kitchen. Until next time, bye guys.